President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, says it is important for the Nigerian government to continue to borrow responsibly to fund critical projects in the country. He believes it is not feasible for the government to tax the people further in the face of the present economic situation, and the nation's infrastructure must be developed. The Senate President made the remarks on Thursday while briefing State House correspondents after a closed-door meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja, the nation's capital. And joining me now to discuss this is the Social Mobilization Manager at ActionAid Nigeria, Adewale Adeduntan. Good to have you join us.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
So you have heard a statement coming from the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, that the federal government must continue to borrow if we are to fund critical infrastructural projects. But the key word there is that he says that the government must continue to borrow responsibly. And he also said that we are a poor nation. So I want to get your thoughts on first borrowing responsibly and then where we are in terms of whether we are a poor country or not.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to situate our thoughts as an organization that is always promoting the interest of the poorest of the poor. The truth of the matter is that Nigeria is not resource poor. It's because we do not get our priorities right. That's why it appears that we are poor. Look at it, for instance, the cost of governance in the country is so high that we can't continue to keep funding the big governance system that we run. If you are running lean on resources, what you do is you shed excess weight. And that's what we have as a position, that the country needs to revisit the cost of governance, which is very, very high. We know and we agree that for us to finance key infrastructure, we need to mobilize resources to ensure that that is done. But if we look at it vis-a-vis the cost we incur on maintaining cost of governance, we realize that it's not smart. It is not a good way to commit the expenditure, the debt we are incurring. As a matter of fact, the way the country should go is to reduce cost of governance and ensure that we put our borrowing in key productive areas that are capable of refinancing themselves. The current ways in which we are going will not augur well for the country. And there are other alternatives too to borrowing. That's the way we should think of things around build, operate, and transfer, things around looking at diasporan bond, and to ensure that we find alternative means to financing our development deficit. So that is the way to go. To say that we'll keep borrowing, no. That's not.
I want to get to that alternative means in a moment, but you talked about the cost of governance, and it also brings to mind the idea that the issues of debt rollover to another government also constitutes to the fact that most government come in without any opportunity to do something really significant apart from the issues of corruption. But because there is a debt rollover, there is a burden that has been rolled over, you have to low repayment is there. There is also the issue of revenue generation, and that creates a challenge for the next government or administration.
Yes, I totally agree with that. That what successive government should leave behind should not be deficit or liabilities. It should be more of assets. But what we have year in, year out is we have government borrowing for other ones to inherit. What we should be doing is to look at the possible ways of making the economy to be buoyant. For instance, expanding the tax bracket to capture more of the informal sector so that we can mobilize more resources and move beyond going and borrowing hand in cap all the time. The other bit again is that we can also look critically, like I mentioned earlier, at the opportunities we have in terms of having core investors who have their money to come into the country, build, operate, and transfer. When they are done, they recruit their money. That is the way to go. This happens in other countries, and ours cannot be an exception, because what we are not realizing is the fact that the cost of servicing this debt will eventually rob us of the cost of investing in human capital development and other infrastructure in the future. Because over time, whether we like it or not, when the amortization is over, we need to be paying back. And more often than not, it will be at the expiration of the term of office of those who are borrowed. That is not smart. There are other ingenious ways to ensure that we bring the needed investment into the country, not necessarily going and borrowing, because there's a popular saying which says that if for anyone who goes a borrowing, you go a sorrowing. You can only be smiling when you are borrowing. When the payback time is come, you are going to feel it so hard, and it will tell on your human capacity development and other infrastructure in future.
Well, the federal government says that we are still in a good place because the debt ratio to our GDP is just about 30 to 40%. So we'll see how they manage all of this. So, Social Mobilization Manager at ActionAid Nigeria, Adewale Adeduntan, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.